Shalom, shalom, Israel. Welcome to another edition of Stick to the Script. My name is Shamar Yah. To my left,
Ikwatazat Tazadak.
Khan. And tonight's lesson is going to be called Stay in the Herd. Stay in the Herd. And the reason why I decided to do this lesson was because, going through this truth, you experience a lot of different things. And you also start to experience a love like you've never felt. And so it kind of hits hard when the people that you see come into class and see, and they start to take those steps back, start to fall off, start to the word in them is choked for cares of the world or tribulation. And so ultimately this is, I guess, an alarm or a wake-up call, a notification of sorts to those that are able to still be here in these classes or still be amongst the brethren and haven't done what they can to do so. Let's start off with Ecclesiastes chapter 4, drop down to verse 9.
Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor.
He said, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. Read on.
For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow, but woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he had not another to help him up.
He says, so if you fall, if you come upon or fall on hard times, you have somebody that's there for you. And that's ultimately, that's one of the biggest things that you really get with a body. So many people are anti-camp, so many people are anti-this, anti-that, but you still, to some effect, gather. Because it's difficult to be out here surrounded by wickedness constantly, and you don't have an opportunity to actually be around those that believe as you believe, practice as you practice, speak as you speak. Sometimes everything you turn on the TV and media is all wicked, all ignorant. Sometimes you need to take a step back from that just to be able to recharge. And it's like if you never have those people spiritually that can do that for you, at least you fall in a lot more. And then you have no one that's there. Was that it? Verse 11.
Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone?
He said if two lie together, then they have heat. At least if you have one other person, you're that much more likely to survive because you have someone to rely on, someone to lean on, and someone that's putting forth energy into the efforts that you're putting energy forth into. It's like if you're completely by yourself, you don't have that. Go to Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 17. So it's a couple of different aspects that I'm going to briefly touch on. It's not going to be a long lesson, but a couple of things to just briefly touch on, to meditate on. Like I said, if you're one of those people and you need this, go ahead. Proverbs 17 and 17.
Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity.
So not the friend we know of in the world, like, oh, we both like the color blue. We friends. We both have the same favorite number. It's like really someone that's going to be there, someone that's really looking out for the interest of what you have, someone that's looking out for what you need as opposed to what you might want. But it's like that's a real friend. A brother is born for adversity. The hard times that you have, that's when you're supposed to go to your brethren. Matter of fact, let me go to Zephaniah 2 and 1. But that's the time that you're supposed to lean on your brethren. When you're going through hard times, that's who you can call on. And it's like, for all the things that we see that our people went through, it would have I'm not gonna say it would have been impossible, but it would have made it that much more difficult to go through those things had they been alone. There's always somebody that you need to be able to really make this move and make the things that you're trying to get done. Even Christ didn't do things alone. He still took 12 apostles. Now, he sent them forth in twos, but he still had someone that was moving the way he was moving to be able to accomplish his goals. Most High called us the lost sheep. Sheep are what? They're herd animals. And even if you give them the opportunity to, be in an open area, be on their own, whatever the case may be, they still clump up because they're so accustomed to being in a herd. You get that protection from the herd. You get that security from the herd. You get that support from the herd. You got that? 2 and 1. So Zephaniah, we're getting Zephaniah, the second chapter and the first verse.
Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
It said, gather together, O nation not desired. We're the ones that, don't want to deal with each other. Don't nobody else want to deal with us. But he said, man, regardless of what it is, we're supposed to gather ourselves together. There's strength in numbers. That's just plain and simple. 1 Corinthians 11 and verse 17.
First Corinthians chapter 7. First Corinthians chapter 11, verse 17. Now in this that I declare unto you, I praise you not, that you come together not for the better, but for the worse.
He said it's not as important that you come together for the better. Oh man, that's when we like to come together. That's when things are ideal. Somebody having a birthday, so-called Christmas when you was in the world, even feast days that's typically when you see people that don't want to be bothered, because it's a lot easier to come together for the better. But when you really need people, when it's the worst, I don't necessarily need to be surrounded by friends who are willing to do anything for me when I'm rich, everything's going good for me, having a great time, or at least as good as it can get in this life. Everything's secure, everything's stable. That's not necessarily when I need to lean on somebody. But when you're going through it, car broke down, bills due, rent late, if not just for the comfort of having someone to listen, that's when you need to come together. That's when we need to gather ourselves together. Like, man, what you need, I got you. But you need those people in your life. You need those people in your circle, because they're supposed to be there to not only support you, but also guide you oftentimes. A lot of the things that anti-campers, a lot of the people that don't like being amongst the body, they also don't like being held accountable. I've stopped even trying to really teach to people that I didn't know. I'm not going to say I stopped trying. That's a bit of an overstatement. But I stopped being so eager to try to reach out to somebody that wasn't in a camp and wasn't having anyone that actually holds them accountable, because it's like people don't like to be corrected. Oh, if you ain't my husband, if you ain't this, if you ain't that, you can have as many scapegoats as you want. But even if I were to be wrong, that don't make you right. Or even if I was to be in a place where I'm not the authority that you respect, the scriptures are the scriptures. So we need the guidance of a body. We need the protection of a body. You need the support of a body. It's a lot of different things that come with staying within the herd. Like, you look at herd animals, sheep, or what are the bison, buffalo. They all stick with each other. And then oftentimes, it's a lot harder if you've watched lions hunting in the Sahara. It's a lot harder for them to pick a target when there's hundreds of animals running by. They're in danger of getting hurt just by the sheer force of that many runners. Then there have been instances where, the prey fall back. They circle around the lion and they get to actually be able to save their fellow. But it's, they gather together late for warmth. There's so many different things that come with having all those that herd. And for us, it's the same thing. When you're in danger and where Satan's attacking you, everything's driving you crazy, it's a huge relief to be able to come here and just see people that's not out to get you. I ain't got to look over my shoulder. I ain't got to worry, about somebody mean mugging me, about somebody staring at me. Bring your wife and your kids, everybody's safe. You need that opportunity to be able to decompress. And not just decompress when you're in danger, but decompress around people that like, I can trust these people with my life or the life of those that I love. That's a huge benefit. That's a huge blessing. But also, that's what the Most High told us you have to gather. Even the feast days. Go to Hebrews 10 and 25. Most High said, man, at least one time a week, you gotta come together. You gotta go see your people at least once a week. Yes. You got to at least go see your people once a week. You know, you got the Sabbaths, you're coming together. You got the new moons, you got to come together. There's annual feasts. And even the Most High, he said to come to the feast. But he said there's 3 feasts especially that no man is supposed to miss. So he's like, I don't care what the situation is, what you got going on, whatever the case may be. He said, these 3 feasts, don't miss them. So he's constantly calling us together, constantly telling us to gather amongst our brethren. Hebrews 10:25.
Hebrews chapter 10, verse 25, not forsaking the assembly of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as ye see the day approaching.
Give me the definition of exhort. So it says, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together as the manner of some is. So it's like he recognized there are some people that don't come together. And it's even to the point where some people tell you not to come together. All y'all niggas in the camp is wicked. All y'all do this, all y'all do that. And it's like, dude, who hurt you? You can't speak or generalize for every single camp. And keep it real, there are some shiesty camps out there, and there are some shiesty leaders. But remember what the Most High said, unless I'm with the man that's building, he's building in vain. So trust in the Most High regardless of what the situation is. But he gave us a blueprint. He told us, like, look, the same way I explained to someone I was talking to the other day, I said the same way that your card comes with the manual, the Most High gave us a manual. How to survive, how to live, how to deal with moral conduct, civil conduct, sacrificial law, dietary. We have a manual. We have instructions. And he was like, look, don't forsake the assembly. Did you get that definition? Go ahead.
Exhort, strongly encourage or urge someone to do something.
So he said, exhorting one another and so much more. So strongly encouraging, you know, somebody to tell you to keep your head up, somebody to talk to when you having that tough time, somebody that can be there, that can understand. And man, I remember, because I went through a big transformation in the few years that I've been in the truth, from a boy to a man. And I got into arenas and different plateaus of life that I had never experienced. And weirdly enough, I don't know what it is, but we always have a way of convincing ourselves that whatever we're going through it alone. Like, oh my gosh, I got a flat tire today, or I was late to work. That's never happened. And it's like, dude, people do that all the time. But to you, it feels like it's just so serious. Like, no, you don't understand. This happened or that happened. It's like, I do understand. I've been there before, and it's at least for me personally, I can say it was really encouraging to see not only people had survived it, but that they had began to thrive, and they began to actually have success at some point in the things that they were going through or the things that they had experienced. And it's very encouraging. It makes you want to keep going, because one day you want to be able to give that testimony that encouraged you to somebody that's in your position. And then you can see, you know, their eyes light up the way yours did. And you can see the inspiration come back into them as the inspiration came back into you, and very possibly save a soul. So, and he said, exhorting one another and doing much more. 1 Corinthians, let's go to chapter 12. We're going to start at verse 1. He said, doing much the more as you see the day approaching. So it's like Most High said, the day of the Lord is going to be terrible. Said the times leading up to that is going to be terrible. He said, man, it's time to encourage one another as you see the day approaching. Stuff's getting worse by the day. That could wear anybody down. You know, even if you're not being touched, it's still just crazy to watch all this stuff happen. It's like, that's why we come together and be like, man, I've been seeing this, or I've been having dreams. This has been happening. Yeah, man, same. It makes you feel good to not only that it's just happening to them, but that they're there for you as you are for them. A real bond and a real relationship with that person that, you know, both of you guys are going to get through it together in righteousness. Now, you know, we about to both start busting down bricks, but like, nah, I'm going to hold you upright as you hold me upright, and we're going to continue to do what's right. That's why it's like, man, there's a lot of power in this. And everybody has a place within a body. Everybody has something they can bring to the table. And I was thinking about this. What is it? The elders, right? The older people. And I think it was a story I was watching. It was something I was doing. And there was a man who was found guilty of deceit. And they were like, take him to the village elder. And the elders are really supposed to, like, even if you feel like you're older in this truth, or you feel like you may not be able to offer somebody else, it's still something that you bring to the table. And even the elders can give what the scriptures call the wisdom of their hoary head, HOAR, which is great. It's a lot of things that they can teach you, a lot of experiences that they've gone through that they can educate you about. And my mentality is, even a homeless man can teach me about money. Why? Because at bare minimum, he's going to tell me what not to do. I know what he did, and I know not to do whatever it was that he invested in. And it's like, you can take something from everybody. So for all those that may be watching online, that may be thinking about coming to class, that may be, already members and just having difficulties, man, try to find your way back. Because there's always still something that you can be used for. It's always something you could be doing. It's always something that needs to be done in the works of the Most High and towards this path to save our nation. 1 Corinthians 12, starting verse 1.
1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 1. Now concerning spiritual gifts, brethren, I would not have you ignorant. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led.
Go ahead.
Wherefore I give you to understand that no man speaking by the Spirit of God called Jesus accursed, and that no man can say that Jesus is the Lord, but by the Holy Ghost. Now there are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit.
So he said, through all that, there are diversity in gifts, but he says it's all through the Most High. Can't say that, Jesus is a curse and it's about the Most High, Jesus don't exist, whatever the case may be, whatever the debate. He said, man, it's all of the same Spirit. Go ahead.
And there are differences of administrations, but the same Lord. And there are diversities of operations, but it is the same God which worketh all in all.
So he says, no matter what role you play, you're still playing a role. And there's always two analogies that I think of. First one is a burger. And I say, if you take two pieces of bread and a piece of meat, that's technically a burger. But it's like, it's the sesame bun, it's the lettuce, the tomatoes, all the little stuff that isn't really the substance of a thing that really make it important. And then, you look at like my man Darius, he does producing and, camera work and all that kind of stuff. It's like, you need extras. You need to be able to set a scene. It's going to be unnatural as ever in a highly populated city, and you got a scene where two people are just walking down the street. It's no natural noise. It's no, no people in the background. The little things can make a major difference. And they could have the bigger of an impact or more of an impact than the substance of the thing it is by itself. Go ahead.
But the manifestation of the Spirit is given to every man to profit withal. For to one is given by the Spirit the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit.
So he said, it's given, no matter what your gift is, it's given to profit. He said, for one man, he might have wisdom. He might, every time you come to him, he has wisdom to dispel. Constantly be able to see his way or edify you through just about any situation. He said, and another might have knowledge. Might not necessarily have the execution, but he can, calculate. All those things are necessary, and they can apply across so many platforms. Go ahead.
To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by the same Spirit.
So he said, to another, it's faith by the same Spirit. So this man might have enough faith, and sometimes I know Taziawan said, Bishop Taziawan, he said that sometimes the best thing that you could do in this truth is live. Sometimes that's your greatest work, because there's somebody watching you. You have no idea what kind of impact you're having on that person just by doing what you feel like is your best, or just by doing what you feel like is all you can give. Like, man, this all I had was this, but I gave it. And look at how Yahushua looked at the woman who gave 2 pennies. She was like, man, he came to her. Matter of fact, let's get that story. I want to show that story real quick. Get a bookmark or something. You know exactly where it is? I believe so. I want to get that for you guys because I didn't actually put it in the lesson, but I want to find it. You said Mark 12?
Mark 12 and 42.
Con, I believe that's it. Start at verse 41.
Mark chapter 12, verse 41. And Jesus sat over against the treasury, and behold, how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much.
Uh-huh.
And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing.
So that's a very small amount of money. I remember in my last Bible, it actually gave you oftentimes references or amounts. If it gave a length, it would tell you how far that is in feet, money, and all that kind of stuff. And it said that this was half a cent. So it said it equates to her passing in through both of those mites 1 cent. I don't know how historically accurate that is, obviously, because we obviously don't know how much that was, but it was very clearly conveyed that it's a small amount of money. But what did Christ say about it? Go ahead.
And he called unto him his disciples and said unto him, Verily I say unto you, that this poor widow had cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury.
So you had rich people in there, you know, if they was worth $100 million, they give it $100,000. Like, man, that's a lot of money. That's faith. But it's like you have $100 million or even $1 million or 10 million, I should say. I think that's what, 1%? It's nothing for you to be able to give that much money if that much money is in your possession. But it's like she only had this small amount of money and she gave all that she had. That's just total faith. She didn't be like, all right, because if you have 2 of something, you need one, you want to give one, it's very obvious. You just split it down the middle. But she was like, no, I'm giving it all to the Most High. Even though it may not mean much. It may not be able to even buy anything on its own, but I'm still going to give it to the Most High because that's where my faith is. Go ahead.
For all they did cast in of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living.
It was like that was all she had. But she gave, but I feel like there's not enough gravity. Like she gave all she had. She didn't trust in what she was trying to hold on to. She didn't say, I'm gonna make my next move, my best move. I'm about to invest this money and try to. She was like, look, I can't do much with this, but what little that I could have done, I'm just going to entrust you to do it for me, Lord. And she gave all that she had. It's like, even if you only have a little, the Most High sees that. The Most High recognizes that. Even if it's a struggle for you to be able to push through week after week to get to the feast, or, you know, week after week to continue to work and just to push on, because this life is literally our captivity. It's set up to where it's going to be difficult. It's set up to test and prove us. So it is very fatiguing. But the Most High is still pleased with our righteous sacrifices, whatever they may be, as much as we're able to give. Go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 12.
1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10.
Con.
To another, the working of miracles, to another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits, to another diverse kinds of tongues, to another the interpretation of tongues.
Interpretation. So he was saying, this guy, he's going to be able to work miracles. This brother is going to be able to either prophesy or understand prophecy. This brother is going to be able to discern spirits. Like, nah, I've seen this before. He's going to do so-and-so. Like, I've seen that kind of spirit, or I've seen someone act like that. I know how this ends. Said another, diverse kinds of tongues. So he'll be able to speak different languages. And to another, the interpretation of tongues. So he'll be able to understand more languages than he can speak. Go ahead.
But all these worketh that one and the self-same spirit.
He said, but they all are working the self-same spirit. They're all from the Most High. They're all gifts. Go ahead.
Dividing to every man several as he will.
He said, as he will. Go ahead.
For as the body is one and had many members, and all the members of that one body, being many, are one body, so also is Christ.
So he said the body has many members, and all the members is one body. So it may be consistent of a bunch of different parts, and there may be a bunch of different departments, but it's all still the same body. It's all still the same thing. Go ahead.
For by one Spirit are we all baptized into one body, whether we be Jews or Gentiles, whether we be bond or free, and have been all made to drink into one Spirit.
So we know that the Gentiles were Jews that acted, or the Israelites that were scattered in other nations. So he was like, whether you were born in Israel and kind of had that silver spoon mentality, like you feel like you official because you was born there, or whether you were born elsewhere, keeping the commandments as the Most High gave you the spirit to do so. He said, doesn't matter the privilege that you were born with, doesn't matter if you're free or bond. He said, all of this is in the name of the Most High, Yahweh Shai. It's all in one spirit. Verse 14.
For the body is not one member, but many.
Uh-huh.
If the foot shall say, because I am not the hand, I am not of the body, it is therefore not of the body.
He said, is it therefore not of the body? He like, just because the foot is not the hand, can it say that it's not a part of the body? If, yeah, sure enough, your hands is like, man, it's very easy to look at from, I guess, from a foot's perspective. It's very easy to, if someone gave you a choice as to which one you would rather lose, a foot or a hand, it's like, man, I couldn't make that decision, because everybody would probably say a foot. Like, oh, man, well, I need my hands. I got to be able to do this, this, and that. Then on the other hand, you can say, man, I got to be able to walk and run. And it's like, man, they both do so much. But they can't say to one another, like, oh, just because I'm not doing what he's doing, or I'm not capable of being on that level, man, I might as well just not exist. It's like, nah, you still need it. You still have a purpose. We're still all serving the Most High as he had us to serve, or as he has called us. Like, just because you're not doing what somebody else is doing, as long as you're still doing righteous works, you're still doing righteous works. Doesn't matter the magnitude, doesn't matter the publicity, doesn't matter the honor and the glory, because everybody wants to street teach. Everybody want to get out there and street teach, because that's like honorable. That's like a heart, or the brain, the lungs. That's something big that the nation needs. And it's like, so many people chase that position. You got a bunch of starving organs out there not being where they could be, and a bunch of starving bodies that could use those men for good. But everyone wants to serve the purpose that they want to serve, as opposed to serving the purpose that the Most High has called us to serve. We want to do what we want to do. And then you go out in vainglory, hoping to make a name for yourself, because you want to be praised. You want to be recognized for your knowledge. You want to be able to talk to women with a silver tongue, and, do business and conduct business like a serpent. Just, oh man, that brother's great. Look at his abilities. And it's like, yeah, sure. But an army without chefs is a starving army. An army without communicators will turn on itself. Don't nobody know where nobody is. Friendly fire left and right. An army without surveillance or reconnaissance is walking into every fight blind. You need the scholar, sure enough. You need the teacher, sure enough. But there are also simpler, smaller roles that need to be played. Things that are greatly appreciated. Brothers that go out and come back to lunch, that'd be greatly appreciated. Like, man, certain Jakes, everybody's situation is different. Some people didn't even have a chance to eat. Some people weren't able to eat. Then they come on the Sabbath, and the brethren are here, and, the small gesture that whoever brought lunch thought that meant so much more to somebody else. Verse 17.
If the whole body were an eye, where were the hearing?
So if your whole body was just a giant eyeball, how would it hear? Go ahead.
If the whole were hearing, where were the smelling?
And if it was just a giant ear, how could it smell? Go ahead.
But now had God set the members, every one of them, in the body as it had pleased him.
He said, but the Most High said, I called everybody into the body as it pleased him. Go ahead.
And if they were all one member, where were the body?
And if you was just a one solid big piece of flesh, how much of a body would that be? Go ahead.
And the eye cannot say unto the hand, I have no need of thee, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. Nay, much more, those members of the body which seem to be more feeble are necessary.
So he said that was very powerful, because he said the eye can't say to the hand, I have no need of thee. Like, man, I'm the one that's guiding the body. I'm the one that's going to vision. If it wasn't for me, the hand wouldn't be able to do nothing. It's like, yeah, but without me, you're just in the sunken place, always watching a world that you can't touch. I have a purpose. Then he said, the head to the feet. I don't need the feet. I'm able to think and command the organs in the body from up here. He said, yeah, but you can't walk without me. You can't balance. You can't go forth. You're limited to, whatever restraints or movements that a brain or a body without feet is limited to. He said, nay, much more, the members that we feel like are unimportant are that much more necessary. It's this is random, but it's funny how many people have posted or said something about the lunch ladies or old black women that call them sugar, or that call them sweetie. Like it make me feel special, and it's crazy because it's small acts of kindness, small gestures, small things that really have big impacts on people. The words that you say, the way that you move, the way you bounce back to somebody, you're still an inspiration. It's like you can't feel as though you're not important, and you can't look at somebody else like, man, all the stuff I'm doing, why can't that Jake just do this? Why can't that Jake? Hey, man, Osai called you for a reason. The Jakes that we feel like are in the background be the ones to have the spirit of Paul and take us out to ventures that we wouldn't have gone on, press the issue on taking trips we wouldn't have gone on, going to people that we wouldn't have gone to, educating us. I'm saying that the Most High has that spirit on him. He said, I called him into the body to be that for you. How could you say that I have no need of this? You don't know what you're giving away. Verse 23.
And those members of the body, which we think to be less honorable,
Go ahead.
upon these we bestow more abundant honor, and our uncomely parts have more abundant
Comeliness.
comeliness.
So he said it's the parts that you feel like are less honorable. He said we're supposed to honor them even more. A lot of times, even like I was saying with the elders, a lot of times, as an old man, when you look at face value, he's too old to run, too old to hunt, too old to fight. You feel like, man, what's the purpose? But it's like, dude, the Most High said, double honors unto the elders. Yeah, he's already had his years of running, his years of fighting, his years of conquering, or whatever the case may be. Now he has wisdom. He's already lived a life thinking, acting, doing as you did. And he can tell you which times that he had success and which times that he failed. And all you have to do is sit down and listen. You have a whole lifetime of wisdom that you didn't even have to live to learn. You can learn from that person's mistakes and take their scars into consideration before you set out to go into the monster's cave or the what do you call that, the bear's den. I can already tell you what's on the other side. You don't want to go in there. I can already tell you this is the better path because I went down that road and I found great success. Go ahead.
For our comely parts have no need, but God had tempered the body together, having given more abundant honor to that part which lacked.
So, it's like, well, actually, I have more. So go ahead.
That there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care one for another.
Said that'd be no schism. It's not a problem with anybody because somebody's treated way better. It's favors. It's respecter of persons. Oh, you can't sit there. That's for chief elder, high deacon, master, ranked, apostle, Maccabean. Like, bruh, I have to give the seat up. I'll take humility. But it's like Israel, we tend to go into idolatry, just worshiping people who are they? You a man like I am. You bleed like I bleed. You will die like I die. It's like, but will you get salvation? Are you actually upholding the laws and the commandments? Do you earn that title? Or did you just step into that seat because you wanted to hear what it sounded like? But that's not, though. You don't embody those works. You don't embody that strength. You don't take on the roles that aren't convenient. You want to be leader and teacher and high man, but then it's like, the scriptures talked about being a father to the fatherless, being a husband to the widow. It's a lot more that goes into leadership. And I will definitely say it's a major difference, at least with me personally, from old leadership to Bishop T. Like, the brother will give you his time. Will answer your call in the middle of the night and be like, what do you need? Brothers giving, and all praise to the Most High for all the brethren that are doing that here at this body. Like, we really strive to really save our nation and build up these people. And all praise to the Most High, we found our way into this body because it's a lot of Jakes and a lot of men out there that are in this for themselves, that are stuck pretending, as Yash said, stuck pretending. Was that all of that?
Yeah.
Go to Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 17. We're almost done.
Book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 14,
17.
17. Obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls.
So, like I was saying, it's not about being at the top of the food chain just for saying you're the big dog. So you supposed to be watching for the people's souls. And for those of you that have cleaved to teachers that you enjoy, man, that brother could just break it down so well. Yeah, I mean, he not doing this right, and he not doing that right. He drinking too much, and I just love the way he teaches. Like, man, what exactly is it that you're following after? His image or who he is? That's why, for those that have been damaged to the body or have had those negative experiences, it's unfortunate. Because that's what a leader is supposed to do. They're supposed to be watching for your soul, keeping you on track. Go ahead.
As they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not with grief.
He said, so when they give a report as to what you've been doing, like how's my servant been or whatever the case may be, he said, man, I hate to tell you, but he said, I don't want to have to do it with grief. Let them do it with joy. Man, this brother I brought his resume, man. It looks amazing. That brother did work. They can do it with joy and not of grief. Go ahead.
For that is unprofitable for you.
So he said, what's the point of that? 1 Peter, let's go to 5 and 8. Go ahead.
1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
He said, be sober, be vigilant. Your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion. So, like I was saying earlier, when you look at the way that lions hunt, they're very reluctant. They're apprehensive about going into just charging dead into a herd because you'll get trampled. But what do lions act? They end up going after the ones, they end up singling somebody out. They go after the stragglers. They go after the old. They go after the young. Most of the time, lions be killing the babies more than anything else because they're the easiest to get to. They don't understand how things work. They panic. They run. It's like, man, look at how Babylon operates. Who are they really after? Like, yeah, they push sex on us. They push all these different things, and it can't affect you. But oftentimes, you already have the mentalities that you have as an adult because you grew up with them. They sneaking sexual little innuendos in your cartoons. They showing you images that you don't understand, making jokes that you don't understand. They saying stuff that flies over your head as a child, and you get older and you act upon these things, and you're like, man, where did this come from? You've been indoctrinated. Sitting in front of a TV your whole life, sitting in front of, being influenced in media. And brothers over in Ghana right now, and they always say, like, man, it's crazy how little grasp that the West has on these people. Like, yeah, they have tidbits, but their mentality is just totally different. Women is just totally different. They taking care of the household, taking care of babies. Bro, brothers posting pictures of women having to cook out of rims for cars. Still got dinner on the table no matter what the obstacle. Like, totally different mentality. Over here, man, we wouldn't dare touch something that came out of that. We got pride. We got our cleanliness, our self-righteousness. It's like, man, totally different mentality. But you got to stay in that herd. Got to let go of the pride. Got to let go of the schisms. Got to let go of these things, because anything that you give Satan to be able to play on, he will play on. And he knows your weaknesses. How else could the scriptures say, I believe it's 1 Corinthians 13 and 10, it talks about you're tempted of what you desire. Most High not going to draw you out. Can't a man that's not interested in money be tempted to become rich? A man that's not interested in women can't be tempted with lust of the flesh. It's all about what you desire. That's what Satan's going to play on. Just like even with Christ, he already knew. He's like, man, I already know who this is. I'm not going to play on anything else. But the scriptures talk about how pride is the beginning. Like, all contentions come forth from pride. So Satan was tempting Yahushua by saying, like, all right, if you're the son of the Most High, turn these stones into bread. Show me your power. Show your strength. Why are you here on earth as this humble man? You're the second most powerful being in the universe, and you walking around in sackcloth. You hungry? What? Man, turn these stones into bread, man. Show them who you are, man. Son of Yahweh. Show them. He was like, nah, man, I'm not doing that. He was like, if I could just get him to be prideful, I can get him to do anything. Because that's what really happens when we start to sin. We value whatever it is that we feel over the Most High. Brothers fall into a trap. You eat unlawful food. Man, I was just so hungry. Yet you valued what you wanted over what the Most High told you. That's your pride. You value what you feel or what you think, and we let go of that. But it's Satan's. I mean, the scriptures say that Satan's waiting for you to allow him that opportunity. He's walking around. He's like, man, who can I catch off guard? Who don't have their cover? Where's the stragglers? Where's the weak? Who am I about to get? And not being amongst this body or not being amongst a righteous body is going to make it that much harder. Let's get Baruch 4:28. And while I'm on that, I wanted to say, for those that are of this body that have my number, call me anytime, man. Reach out to brothers, reach out to Jakes, but just make sure that you get back here, get back in the body, get back into the fold, get back to the works. Now, we have a nation to save, which includes you. And we may not always see our rewards. And, scriptures talk about the Jews seek a sign. We want what's tangible. That's what you got to have that faith. We know that, the scriptures talk about what we're doing is not in vain. As hard as it is, as uncomfortable as it may prove to be, as unsettling, whatever kind of sacrifice, the things we go through in this life are not worthy to be compared to the things that we go through in the next life. And while he gets that, another thing that Satan can play on is we don't feel worthy. In the intro for Till You Honor Your Gone, he said, it was a brother speaking. He said, most people don't act on their dreams because they don't feel worthy. We don't feel like we belong here. Man, I done sinned so many times. I done did this so many times. I don't even know why. It's like, man, Most High told you, actually, let's get what the Most High said. Go ahead. Baruch 4:28.
Baruch chapter 4, verse 28. For as it was your mind to go astray from God, so being returned, seek him 10 times more.
He said, all right, you made a mistake. You was thinking about going to do what you wanted to do, and you might have gone pretty far from the herd before you realized where you was at. But he said, now that you've realized it, seek the Most High 10 times or more. Don't use that discouragement, those faults, those things to just stop doing the works. Don't use it to fall away or to get within yourself and convince yourself to defeat or to concede. It's like, man, the Most High said, man, come back. And when you come back, go 10 times harder than you went before you left. Show me that work. Show me you want it. Catch back up to the herd. You can't go if the herd going 5 miles an hour, you've been gone for an hour, you got 5 miles to make up. You go 5 miles for an hour and they were still moving 5 miles an hour, you're going to be at the same distance away from them in an hour. So you got to go twice as fast to catch up. You got to go that much harder if you actually want to get there. So you have anything you want to add, Doc?
Oh, no.
Well, with that, I said it wasn't going to be a long lesson. I'm going to conclude it there. I hope this was a nudge in the right direction for those that, like I said, maybe following the body, that are thinking about coming in, those that have already come in and, they're choked by the cares of the world, or choked on things that are making it more difficult. Whatever it is that is happening, hopefully this is a nudge in the right direction to continue on that righteous path. And with that, I'm going to say shalom.